ABC News 4 at 11 starts now.
New information regarding a house fire in North Charleston puts an even darker twist on the homeowner's death. Good evening, everyone. I'm Selena Madrid. Just now, we received word that 2 men have been arrested in relation to this crime. We are still waiting for more information on the 2 suspects. Today, our Eleanor Wade spoke with those who live close to the victims in that charred home. She has more on this developing story. Eleanor?
Selena, this man's death would have already been devastating to those who knew him. But what police found when investigating makes it all the more hard to swallow. A quiet community in North Charleston is now the scene of a crime. Police say a man was found inside this house last Thursday after it caught fire. The victim was 55-year-old Freeman Angelo Rivers. Thinking that the fire took this man's life, neighbors were stunned to find the true cause of his death.
A sweet, loving guy would help anybody.
Lisa Doctor lives just a few doors away from where flames consumed Rivers' home.
Speculation was going around that he was murdered, but we didn't believe it. Now to hear that it could be true, that's heartbreaking.
Neighbors say he was a gentleman who kept to himself, rode his bike around the neighborhood, but tragically, he passed away in this house fire just a few days ago. Police are now investigating this house fire as a homicide. Donna Johnson says nothing had been unusual in the neighborhood prior to Rivers' death. In her eyes, Bailey Drive has always been quiet and safe.
I've been living here now going on 10 years, and I haven't had any problem. The neighbors are nice, we know one another,
As police look for clues into the senseless death of the man who lived here, neighbors like Lisa Doctor grieve his loss.
Just heartbreaking, man. I just want to cry right now to know somebody actually took his life.
We will be updating the story as we learn more about the 2 men arrested. Selena?
New tonight in Mount Pleasant, the health department tests the water for pesticides in Park West, Dunes West, and Rivertown. It comes after 11 children from the area were diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer. The water was last tested in 2014 and again in 2016. Both results showed negative for pesticides. Mount Pleasant Waterworks officials say there is nothing to worry about. DHEC says it put more money into the testing to speed up the results. We're told results should come back in about 5 business days. A day in the life of a diabetic isn't an easy one. This is a disease that can't be prevented and doesn't have a cure. But one 13-year-old from the Lowcountry is heading to Capitol Hill in hopes to share her story to bring change back to South Carolina. 6 years ago, Cameron Shepard's life changed forever. It was the day she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
You have to constantly watch your sugars because my body doesn't produce insulin.
Her mom says she doesn't know life without it, and it's become second nature.
There's not a minute off from the disease at all.
She takes her insulin with her wherever she goes and is constantly checking her blood sugar.
Insulin is not a choice. It's strictly life support.
But she doesn't let the disease stop her. She is an honor roll student and on the varsity tennis team.
I've done so many things and I still have the disease, and they can do just as many things they want to do. You just gotta put your mind to it.
Now, all she wants is for others to educate themselves.
3:37 right now.
Every 2 years, 150 kids living with the disease are chosen to represent their state in Washington, D.C. Her mom found out about the program and convinced her to apply. She didn't get in the first or the second time, but for Cameron, the third time's a charm because she was finally selected.
I talked about how diabetes has changed me and how it affects my day-to-day life, so he knows that it's not just something that you don't get affected by that much, and we actually need support and funding.
Senators, governors, and Congress members will be in the room listening to the kids' statements.
Her big thing is definitely awareness, but also asking for funding because there are so many improvements out there.
Insulin and prescriptions can be expensive, and they don't want anyone to ever go without.
Strips, urine sticks, glucagon.
It's a lifeline. I don't see how people can't help people cover it because you need it to live.
They want people to know what life with type 1 diabetes is like and to have a voice for others that don't.
Yeah, I definitely like going and talking about it and sharing my story and giving hope to all the other diabetics.
The Children's Congress will take place on July 24th through the 26th.
She would put in her pump.
Meanwhile, another teen named Mary Ashley has already had 1 kidney transplant. She's in need of more, but this time it's much harder to find a match. Renal disease took a toll on the 14-year-old. She's been going through dialysis for 4 years, but her parents say dialysis isn't a long-term solution. Her best chance is to find a living donor. So far, 170 people have been tested, but none have matched Mary Ashley.
We are struggling to find that kidney. She's a very hard match. She's a difficult match because of the antibodies she's built up when she was sick and transplanted as an infant. And so we're looking at a needle in a haystack.
Right now, Charlene says 40 people are waiting to be tested. They're hoping more people will sign up for the simple blood test.
Tonight in entertainment, 3 years to go until Japan hosts the 2020 Summer Olympics. Japanese celebrities and Olympians attend a kickoff party in Tokyo. They participated in activities like modeling new clothes with the 2020 Games logos. The event ended with the debut of a new theme song for the Games. The Summer Olympics and Paralympics are scheduled for July 24th, 2020. That was Michael Phelps swimming his way to a silver medal against his toughest opponent. The Olympic swimmer raced against a great white shark to kick off Shark Week. Phelps lost to the shark by 2 seconds in a 100-meter race. Fans weren't happy when they learned he actually swam against a shark made by Discovery Channel staffers. But Phelps didn't let it bother him, tweeting, quote, "Rematch next time, warmer water." The world is getting a small glimpse of Princess Diana's love for her sons. Kensington Palace released never-before-seen photos of Prince William and Prince Harry from Diana's personal album. They were only 12 and 15 years old when their mother died in a car crash. The pictures are featured in a new documentary for the princess's 20th anniversary of her passing. In the film, William and Harry share their favorite memories of their mother. The documentary will air tonight at 10 on HBO. Meanwhile, fans lined up in Washington, D.C. for rapper Kendrick Lamar's pop-up shop. The Grammy winner announced the shop's opening earlier this month. It was only open for 1 day. Fans formed a line that stretched for at least 2 blocks. They couldn't wait to get their hands on the artist's gear and albums.
I got here at 5:15 in the morning, and I love Kendrick. I mean, I'm excited for the clothes, but I'm more excited to maybe meet him.
Lamar is planning to open more pop-up shops in 17 different locations in the U.S. and Canada. It's all to promote his new album and upcoming tour.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of Carolina Insider. I'm Christine Takash. Our top story today. They say being a Gamecock has no limits, but is that true for physical limits? Although the University of South Carolina follows legal requirements for accessibility, as Vania Ibanez reports, one student is pushing for the school to do more.
You want me to twirl for you?
This is Davis Heyman, a Spartanburg native studying international business and finance with a French minor at UofSC. He started life a little earlier than others.
My mother had HELLP syndrome, which is a type of preeclampsia when she was pregnant, which means like high blood pressure when she was pregnant caused her to go into premature labor.
Heyman was born 3 months premature and was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, leaving him with a hidden speech impediment and a seat in a wheelchair. As a capstone scholar, Heyman was placed in Columbia Hall next door because he was told it was more accessible than the capstone house.
The fact that they had the bars to support your weight in the shower is technically enough, but like, what if I was wheelchair bound? What if I couldn't get up from my wheelchair?
It's enough to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. In 2008, the ADA was amended, and one part added was Title III, Public Accommodations. It states that public accommodations must follow certain requirements related to architectural standards for new and current buildings. Director of the Student Disability Resource Center, Karen Pettis, says that the university complies with the ADA, but the university has no specific accessibility guidelines to follow.
For some of the buildings, you have to make sure that the ramp meets certain codes, not just safety codes, but maybe a historical look to the building.
Older buildings like Currell College don't have an elevator or a ramp, so why not add one?
I can tell you one ramp we built on campus, it was $150,000.
For now, it's a part of working towards accessibility for all.
This is a long-term problem that needs to be fixed.
For Carolina News, I'm Vania Ibanez.
Schools in a neighboring state are also battling with the ADA. Advocacy groups and parents of disabled students are suing Georgia schools for not complying with the ADA. The act states that all students must receive equal education, but the Georgia Advocacy Office says the students were separated into a program that doesn't give them proper education. The Georgia Department of Education has not commented on the lawsuit. From a renovation to a makeover, a bar in 5 Points will be unveiled with a new name. According to the state newspaper, new owner Adam Ruonala bought the poorhouse in September. The marketing director for the Palmetto State Armory plans to rename it to 5 Points Roost. Poorhouse closed in May after the former owner was accused of choking a USC student. Poorhouse had other incidents as well, including underage drinking and aggravated assaults. Ruonala also purchased the attic, which he renamed Rooftop. 5 Points Roost should be open on Hardin and Green Streets next week. Also new in 5 Points is a new backdrop for all the selfie lovers. On the corner of Saluda and Hardin, a giant postcard is painted on the wall of the Pucknell Music Company. Artist Chad Brady says the mural is supposed to be a representation of 5 Points today. There are a few familiar landmarks in the painting, all aimed at local residents and students. But one person that stands out in the mural is Drink Small, a famous blues musician from Columbia. So far, the artwork has received positive reviews.
The mural, we haven't heard any negative feedback. I personally love it. I love how much attention it's brought to the neighborhood, and I think it's really inclusive.
The 5 Points Association says they're ready to start the next renovation after the success of Brady's mural. This week, homecoming is drawing to a close, but USC is still celebrating. In this weekend's Carolina calendar, our Christian Schneider has more on the last homecoming events.
That's right, Christine. Homecoming week is wrapping up soon, but festivities are still happening tonight and tomorrow. 21 Savage is this year's Cockstock headliner. Doors open at Colonial Life Arena at 7:30, and the pre-show starts at 8:30 with the men's and women's basketball teams. 21 Savage is set to perform around 9:30. And tomorrow, Gamecock football will be back in Williams-Brice Stadium after 3 weeks. The Gamecocks will be taking on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Kickoff is scheduled for 4 p.m. Back to you, Christine.
We hope you've had a great homecoming week. Thanks for watching this edition of Carolina Insider, a student production in the Kennedy Greenhouse studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communications. See you back here on Wednesday.